On this episode of ResiWeek, SnapAV buys Control4, and Google kills Works with Nest. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek, episode 171, Mergers and Muggles.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by
Atlona, the go-to provider for AV signal distribution and control in corporate, higher education, and residential spaces.
Welcome to ResiWeek. This is your weekly wrap-up of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv, and today I'm pleased to be joined by Joe Whitaker. He is the president of Thoughtful Integrations. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Thank you for having me on again, especially a news-packed episode.
We've got 4 stories, and we'll get to 2, maybe. Then we have Mark Feinberg. He is the president of Home Theater Advisors. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thanks. And Joe, I like the Thoughtful Integrations. When did that change?
Maybe a month.
Okay, that's awesome. I like it.
And we have Heather Sidorowicz. She is the president of Southtown AV. How you doing, my friend?
I am just peachy keen. Joe, I like your hat. For those who aren't watching, he's wearing a Control4 hat. It's like foreshadowing.
So last and not least, and Seth, after you say hi, please comment something about Joe. Seth Johnson, he is the software development manager at Blackwire. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Joe, you look great.
Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Seth.
Very nice. This is essentially the Matt and Joe show today, it seems. All right, let's kick this right off. If you didn't catch the dropped hints from pretty much everyone and have been under a rock since Thursday morning, all of us, every one of our phones kind of blew up on Thursday morning, and everyone got phone calls and texts and all kinds of drama because SnapAV merges with Control4. The Control4 board approved a $680 million thereabouts deal from SnapAV to acquire the company and bring it into the SnapAV fold. This is a really big deal. This is something that I don't know if anyone really forecast or saw this coming. So, Joe, I do want to start off with you since you're wearing the hat. This is a massive merger, purchase, acquisition, whatever you want to call it, with Control4 going under the SnapAV brand. What kind of change is this going to bring to both of these companies?
So I'm not going to try to forecast or foreshadow or force snap or any of those other things that you could possibly do. But, initially I obviously had some shock. Timing is everything on things like this. And for dealers and reps and all of that to see that right before they announce a See For Yourself event and other things going on, it freaked a lot of people out. But on the business side, they put out enough information that makes you not as scared or not as panicky. They have put out there that, at no time during the merger are they going to move all operations to North Carolina. They'll operate in Salt Lake and over there. I look at it more of logistical. I look for faster speed to market, better logistics, larger development budget, all of the things that should make an integrator such as myself a little warm and fuzzy. You have that. You're looking at 2 of the fastest moving, most innovative, and most integrator friendly companies in the world coming together. It is scary when you think about it. It's almost like creating a basis where no one else can compete. But in the end, I honestly do think it will be a good thing because now Control4 will be privately owned again. great management, keeping certain people on either as staff or moving them over to the board of directors for Control4. And some of the info that I have seen says that they're not going to change branding. So that's kind of I'm hedging my bets there because I've spent a lot of money on Control4 branding. So please don't make me throw away my good hard-earned dollars. Overall, so far, I think it will end up being a very good thing.
Very good. Now, keep in mind, of course, that if I didn't mention it previously, this is all subject to the satisfactory customary closing conditions that happen with shareholders and all that other drama. But I don't think anyone really expects this not to go through. Mark, when you look at this, and let's give some quick disclosure. Joe, obviously, as he mentioned, is a Control4 dealer. So is Mark. Mark, when you look at this, Joe kind of hit a point that I kind of want to pull the thread on for a second. If you happen to be on a forum or on social media on Thursday morning, whole monkey, it was as if a meteor hit the Control4 Earth. The dealer group on Facebook was lit up with everything. So given what Joe said, given that we've now had a couple of days for this to kind of sit and mellow, if you will, as a dealer, how do you see this affecting you in the future? What do you expect to see? Do you expect anything to change?
Yeah, on the forums and the dealer forums for Control4, the Facebook groups, it was really there were two camps. There were two extremes. There's really nothing in the middle. It was, this is awesome. I'm an Arachnus guy, and Arachnus is not going to work with Control4. I'm not going to be forced with a package, and I'm going to get it in 2 days, and it's going to be awesome, and I love these two companies. Or it was, the world is ending. Oh my God, every Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to be selling Control4, and the brand is ruined. So I am of the former camp. I am really excited about this merger. I am also a big SnapAV dealer. I think, like my three largest brands are SnapAV, Control4, and Sonos. I was hoping for this for a while. After the package acquisition, I was a little leery of it ever happening. And then when the Triad acquisition happened, I was like, this is never going to work. And I was concerned Snap was going to snap up Savant. So I'm very happy this happened. I'm really excited that I know Arachnus is going to be well integrated with Control4. So I think this is a good thing. I think for anyone who's currently a dealer of both, you're going to get the one-stop shopping. You're going to have everything to you in 2 days. It's going to be free shipping. It's going to be much easier to shop. As good as Control4's website is, I think Snap's is much better. The tech support from both companies was always fantastic. They're going to have to figure out how to merge some of these brands. What's going to happen to package, and what happens to package I don't think is as concerning. It's what happens to backpack, because a lot of dealers have,
I'm betting it's gone, just like IHG.
I know, and it's awful because dealers have built an RMR platform off of this, and they've deployed it to all these clients' homes, and now they won't be able to, their RMR models will be blown up.
But they just need to transition.
Right, that's what I'm hoping they do, is they transition it into Oversee, and Oversee can manage package switches and PDUs, and you just throw an Oversee hub in for $100 and you're good to go. So that's my hope, is that they do something like that. I don't even know what the question you asked was. Did I answer it?
Sure.
I just knew what I wanted to say, and it just went off the top of my head.
So you're like pretty much all of my guests ever. Yeah, got it. Perfect. Thanks for keeping the tradition alive.
Anytime, Matt.
Lord. Heather, to keep going down that path, people not listening to anything I say.
Hey. That's what my husband would say, though.
Hey, exactly. I didn't say it, though. I just agreed that he would say it. Mm-hmm. Heather, part of what Mark talked about was, what happens to package? What happens to these overlying brands? Obviously, the big question will be package or Arachnus. Or do they bring them together, or do those SKUs just slowly fade out and they don't order anything else? The other aspect of it beyond product is people. In theory, if they keep them as, essentially an owned company, but they don't bring it completely into the fold and integrate it fully, most of those people should stay. Are there concerns? Do you have any issues? And again, you don't really have a dog in this fight because you're not.
I don't. Yeah. So full disclosures, we are not a Control4 dealer. We're a Crush Run house. So we don't have a lot of. I mean, we're SnapAV dealer. We love Snap. There are a bunch of smart cookies. I think that they'll hopefully work this out. We used to be with PackEdge until PackEdge was purchased by Control4, and then that did not go so well for us. So we went a different direction. So yeah, they're smart. Like, they're very well played. I was surprised to see that it was Control4. I would have put my money that it would have been URC, because they already sell URC products on their site. So I would have put more money on that. But I think it's solid. I mean, if you're going to buy a solid company to try to take that further, Control4 is certainly it. What I look forward to, if I take myself out of the integrator place, is for the end user, right? The more powerful these AV companies can become, the higher chance we have to get this more into the home, something that's always easy to use, something that's supported similar to Sonos, like Mark mentioned earlier. These are solid state products that are not going down, that we're not getting calls, that someone's not like, oh, this is so hard to use. So I think there's a great advantage to that. As for the people portion of that, hopefully the cream rises to the top and the right people will stay in those right positions. But Snap, I've had the opportunity to meet some of the higher ups there. They seem to know what they're doing.
Very good. And one of the most poignant points that I saw was somebody commented, and Joe, maybe you'll remember who this was, but somebody posted on one of the forums and essentially said, if you don't know I think it was Haggai. If you don't know Martin, and if you don't know the leadership at Snap, and you don't think that they can come together and produce some amazing stuff, you'd be really wrong. I'm pretty sure that was Haggai. Seth, last question on this, I think, although I'm sure we could probably talk about this for a good half hour. But how does this affect the distribution model, that aspect of it? Obviously, you guys at Blackwire are involved in that side. You're a partner with Control4. How does this change what happens from that partnership side of things? Not the dealer side, but the partner side.
Yeah, I don't really think it's going to change very much. I'm kind of even further step back. It sounds like than some of the panelists on here. I don't think anything's going to change. I think this is going to look like some of the same I think we said merger at the outset. This was a straight up acquisition from what I could tell. Mm-hmm. SnapAV has pretty much acquired Control4, and this is going to look just like what you've seen from companies like Nortec and Legrand buying up everybody left and right for the last couple of years. I don't think from our standpoint, or even a dealer standpoint, I was a Control4 dealer for well over a decade, that it very much is going to change, if anything at all, from that respect, because unless you're an employee at Control4, then you probably should be checking out the LinkedIn profile and updating that thing, because there's going to be some duplications and there's going to be some layoffs down the road. Everybody knows that when we have these M&As. So that's where I would be looking for the changes. But I mean, we've already had some assurances that nothing's going to change on the partner side in regards to development and that kind of thing. So I don't really think that that's going to change any at all. I think there's bigger questions, that are like, what's going to happen to, I think Oversee is like I said earlier, I think that's the overlord of the industry now. Like, you're not going to be able to buy anything else but Oversee moving forward. And I'm kind of curious as to what happens to that recent Claire Control offering that SnapAV announced a couple of weeks back. It's more security focused, but what happens to that too? But as far as distribution goes, SnapAV has been buying up distributors left and right too. So this is nothing new for us to see something like this happen. It's kind of, admittedly was a shocker, but then we were like, well, we can't really do anything about it. Let's just go back to work and ship our stuff and make sure that we're interacting with our customers the best way we can. And they're going to choose us over some giant corporation like SnapAV any day of the week. So that's the way the way we took it, and that's the way we're running with it.
Very good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to our next story of the day. This also made a lot of noise last week. Google discontinues the Works with Nest program. This comes to us from Variety, which, just as a small aside to anybody who ever listens to anything that we say on this show, if I can recommend one thing, don't just read industry press. I read arguably 5 stories about this on industry press, and it was good. But reading what came out of Variety, Wall Street Journal, and a couple other non-traditional AV-centric publications provided a really interesting insight into this. Essentially, if you missed it, Google, since their acquisition of Nest, has run Works with Nest. At their I/O conference, they mentioned, kind of slightly discreetly, that they're going to phase it out, and it's going to fall under the brand of Works with Google Assistant, that side of things. Mark, I want to start with you on this one.
Sure.
This is one of those situations where there have been tons of people that have, within the industry, kind of lamented, how dare you work with consumer products? This is what happens when you work with consumer products. Mm-hmm. Given that this is beyond our control, and obviously they're killing the integration, and it's going to move to Google Assistant. For most people, most of our consumers, not general consumers, but integrators, customers, are they really going to notice that much of a difference with this if it just transitions, in all reality, from Works with Nest to a new integration under Works with Google Assistant?
Yeah, I mean, especially the homes that are not professionally integrated. I mean, the people who are maybe a little techie and using IFTT, or they're using Google Assistant, or they're using the Echoes. From what I can tell, they're not going to notice much of a difference, and therefore they don't care. They'll have to relog into an account and link the 2 accounts, I think, is really all that it's going to take. It's the people who have the professionally integrated systems who are going to have to call their integrator in, pay a fee to have us redo the linkage for them. And they're going to have to we're probably have to help them merge their Nest account into their Google account, because they're not going to know how to do that. And I hear what you're saying about the animosity somewhat towards consumer grade product in our industry. Problem is, this consumer grade product, it works and it looks really good. Nothing really, other than going with, just a sensor on the wall behind the paint, no thermostat looks as good as Nest and is as easy to use as Nest. I was just in a building today in New York City. I was in the building last week, the new Hudson Yards. I was on the 85th floor. They put Nest, the developer, when they built this 90-story building, put Nest into every unit, put Caseta into every unit. Mm-hmm. That's what a $13 million apartment is getting. How can you argue that they need something else? It's hard. So I think we have to learn to work with these consumer grade businesses, and we have to figure, and there are going to be hiccups. It's going to happen. I'm a little disappointed. I would have thought having an open API meant that this wouldn't happen. But
silly Mark.
I understand why it happened with Sonos, because everyone was backdooring it in the past. I thought, they have a published API, so therefore this can't happen anymore. Guess I'm not that bright.
Did Nest work with Control4?
Somewhat, yes. I mean, I think you could hit the API up to 10 times an hour, and then it would stop responding.
But now that's going to be a broken module, right?
It's going to be broken. It's going to be broken, but Control4 has already said they are working on the integration with Works with Google, or whatever they're calling the new one, and they hope to have it approved in the Play Store and everything by the time this integration breaks.
So, Heather, when you look at this, when you follow this, to Mark's point, he's seen that in multi-million-dollar condos. We see it here in everything from basic condos and homes to ultra high-end multi-million-dollar homes and lakefront. Everybody goes down that route because either it's easy.
It's easy, it's pretty, it looks good.
Quote unquote sexy.
Right.
if a thermostat can be sexy.
That thermostat is the sexiest one out there.
You don't like the Cortina? No?
I don't think I've seen the Cortina.
But
I hadn't asked until recently. Now I won't. My new remodel.
So the question I have for you though is, as a dealer, do you even bring up the potential problems that come with a homeowner who says, hey, I want this in my media room, I want this in my kitchen. Oh yeah, and I want it to integrate with my Nest.
With a homeowner, I always try to pull back, and when they say I want this, to try to figure out what they're actually asking for, because they often try to present a solution to say like, hey, I've Googled this, so therefore I know as much as you. That sometimes you have to pull back and say, okay, well, what is it trying to accomplish? And these things work best together. But I agree with Mark, man. I think the Nest, we have to learn how to play well with others. I read the article feeling like it's a bit of a pissy match, and it's like, I'm not going to play in your sandbox anymore. I'm going to play in my own sandbox, and you can go be in your sandbox, and we're not going to talk anymore. Which I think is unfortunate. I think it's unfortunate for everyone. I think that hurts the whole industry, because, I mean, how many people could you say the word technology and people say, oh, technology hates me, I hate technology. And that's unfortunate, and it's those kind of things that happen that start to create that unhappiness. If everything worked better together, we'd all have more work. Yeah, so I think it's unfortunate that it happened. I kind of get why they did it, but I think that's unnecessary. All
right. Seth, I've honestly got a really fun one for you. So I'm kind of looking forward to your comment on this. One of the things that I really appreciated about this Variety article was that one of the things that they really talked about was that this was not so much about just bringing it into the fold, making it part of Google Assistant, making that the umbrella that everything is going to operate under. But they also tried to pigeonhole it into, a lot of this is Google's newly strengthened commitment to privacy. Again, take that for whatever it's worth. But is this more about control, or is this more about them trying to at least appear to be concerned about the privacy of its users?
I think it's more. I think it's more about Google responding to what customers want. Google is a customer. It's not so much that they care about their privacy as much as they care about the outrage right now going over all the news channels and everything about people complaining about their privacy. If you look, there's actually an interesting study that I saw. Alexa, we might have a problem, or we have a problem. It was released in May 3, 2019. So yeah, just beginning of this month, saying people are starting to back out of the home. This type of home technology. They interviewed people in 2017, came back and interviewed them in 2019, and it went up 10%. People said they're 73% said they're unlikely they'll purchase a home automation solution in the future. I think the problem is they went out and they bought this stuff. It cost a premium to get it installed and figure it out for them, and it didn't work the way they were promised. And they're coming to find out it's been leaking their privacy data all over the internet. So I think the sentiment among actual consumers, actual muggles in the world, right? Like the non-magical.
The muggles?
Yeah, exactly. Just throw my little Harry Potter reference.
The muggles.
Now we're friends, Seth.
Oh my God,
now we're friends.
I think the sentiment is that they just don't want to deal with this anymore, and they're willing to, throw their hands up and wait till somebody comes along with a solution that actually does work, protects their privacy. And you saw Apple kind of enter that and try and do that with HomeKit a couple of years back. Not so successful. Now you're seeing Google pull back and saying, "Yeah, we're gonna wall our gardens off, and we're gonna build up the foundation around this to protect our own users and put out a product that we want to."
Hey, if they're muggles, does that make us wizards and witches?
Yeah, that's exactly it. We're wizards. You're a wizard, Heather.
I'll take it.
We all knew that.
I've been called a witch before, but
I didn't say that. I said wizard.
It's too close.
All right, Joe, let me let you wrap this up. When you look at this, when you follow this, and this is not a new trend. We've seen this happen multiple times in the past with every consumer brand out there. They are happy to work with us until they're not. And whatever causes that, whatever, permeates that change, it happens. how do you have the conversation with your clients that, yes, you can go with this consumer product, it might break, you might have to pay more in the long run to maintain it. You can go with this generic or whatever industry product that is just going to work in theory. Or is that argument mute? Is that a moot point now?
For us, not so much. I mean, we've seen the Nest integration break already 3 times. The original backdoor first release of API, and then a couple of others. We've seen it with Sonos, Hios. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on. Ecobee. These things happen, and we make it a point to have that conversation with our customers. Because, our thing is, unless it's not brand specific or brand internal, Control4 thermostat, Control4 lighting, Crestron thermostat, Crestron lighting. If it's not that setup, I always describe it as, doesn't matter who it is, Sonos, Nest, whatever. They're bigger than me. I'm sorry that I cannot control them. And you're probably going to have a hiccup somewhere along the way. That's going to cost you some money. This one is going to be a little easier to deal with, though, because number one, Control4 already announced that they're going to work with it, and kind of like it's already been said on here, we all need to learn how to work with Google, so to speak. We need to learn how to work with that. But this is more of a business and a strategy move than a technology move. I mean, you look at it for what it is. Nest is known for hardware. Google is known for software and cloud. You already own the 2 biggest brands in each division, so to speak, or in each area. I mean, you already have Google saying the new touchscreen with the camera is going to be Nest brand, and they're going to revamp the 7-inch as Nest brand, but it's all going to talk to Google Cloud.
How much of the market does Google have in the voice side compared to like Amazon
9.
or...
It's significantly less than Amazon right now. And then current trend market research shows Amazon at the top. Josh AI is the most next requested.
That's
then
crazy
Google,
to me.
That's within the industry, though.
Oh, got it.
That's a CE Pro study.
Got it.
Right. Yeah, this isn't custom, not overall. But it is moving that way. But that's that thing that Google has figured out. If I'm going to propose a cloud or a structured program, who do you trust the most with your security when you're browsing the web? Well, I mean, Google is the search engine. Of course you're going to use that. But Google has dissatisfaction with their products, like, the Google Mini and all of those. That's why they're not growing. So why not stick Nest, a trusted home brand product manufacturer, stick that badge on all the products, and then we're just going to say the back end is Google. Makes perfect business sense. It's going to be easier for me to talk to customers about. And I can once again say, I'm not as big as either of these guys. They're going to mess some stuff up and I can't control it.
It's a little bit more than the branding. This was Google's final consolidation of all of the different little companies and fiefdoms within Google that were working on home technology, all under one brand. The Chromecast team is sitting in the same desk, the same area now. And they
until they decide to change it again, though.
Well, I mean, you got the podcast guys, the Wi-Fi guys, the home automation guys. They're all sitting in the same room now, rather than competing for their own different airtime. I think you're going to see a little bit more come out of Google in the future here with their Nest brand. It's a great brand too.
Very good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode, Joe. If people want to connect with you, learn more about Thoughtful Integrations, where can they do that?
In a state of mass confusion right now? No, I'm joking. You can find us on Facebook at Thoughtful Integrations. Find us on Twitter at Integrator Tweets. And you can always just shoot me an email or find me at CEDA. You can email me at joe@thoughtfulintegrations.com.
Excellent. Thanks so much for being here. Mark, my friend, thanks again for joining us today. If people want to connect with you, learn more about Home Theater Advisors, where can they do that?
Thanks for having me, Matt. I always love being on the show. Best is, as we discussed before the show, I'm an old man, so Mark at Home Theater Advisors is probably the easiest way to get me. Also, Home Theater Advisors.
Rotary phones.
Yeah. No, it's
Carry your pigeons.
I still have a flip phone.
Oh, that's good.
I don't even know what to do with that.
Leave it.
Yeah, pretty much. Heather, thanks again for joining us. I always appreciate it when you're here. If people want to learn more about you, all the writing and jazz that you handle, as well as Southtown AV, where can they do that?
Twitter's a fun place. Tech, TECH _ CHI, balance between life and technology. You can find me at the other fun social places. Instagram, that's showing off a flip phone.
Wow.
Yeah, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. Give me a holler.
Excellent. Thank you again. Seth, as always, pleasure to speak with you. If people want to find out more about you, the podcast that you're on and co-host, I believe, as well as Blackwire, where can people do that?
Podcast, you can follow us on Twitter at Home Tech Podcast or hometech.fm. You can go there. And for Blackwire, definitely if you're interested in getting some cool products and working with us, we're at blackwiredesigns.com.
Excellent. Thanks again for joining us. If you'd like to connect with myself, you can find me on Twitter at Matt D. Scott and pretty much every other social platform. But more importantly, please stop by AVNation.tv, where you'll find this show as well as a wide variety of our other shows with all the verticals that we cover. When you visit the website, please take a moment to check out our supporters. We're extremely thankful for their support and ask that you support them as well. Thanks again for watching. That's all the time we have for this episode of ResiWeek.
So you don't want to use like Overpack or Triadisode or
no.
Mergers and Muggles.
Can't say it. I'll mispronounce it.
I think there's a cream you can get for that.
If you experience any of these side effects, please call your doctor immediately.
Yeah, immediately.